Sahana bhavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Saha viryankarabhavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti. Theory of Perception. Phenomenon of the world, realism, idealism, and Vedantic Theory of Perception. These are the topics we have in this chapter. The last class I did explain what is the connection, how the ideas are moving in the text. The common sense thing we have is this: the world is real because you need to believe in the reality of the world for you to experience your karma. And for you to perform karma also, you need to believe in the reality of it. So therefore, the whole inquiry after exploring the law of karma moves in a very different direction now. Up to law of karma, the direction is one. After this law of karma, the whole thinking changes. Like this scriptural study has two different schools, two different angles to it. Knowledge you have to gain, that is why you come here, right? And you have to gain this knowledge in 3 steps, they say, which I am quite sure you are all familiar with. Sravana, manana, nidhidhyasana. Right? Listening, reflecting, contemplating. Listen, reflect, contemplate. This is the 3 things you do. If you do these 3 things in the same order, it is one school. This is one way. One school, when I say, I meant one way of doing it. There is another way of following also is there, where they start with manana, nidhidhyasana, finally come to sravana. Upanishadic students fall into this category. Okay. Upanishad students have already completed his mananam, he has already completed his nidhidhyasana, he has completed everything. Contemplation he has done, all that he could do he has done already. He just comes to a guru and asks a question, and the guru gives the answer. Listening to that, the student gets realization. Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. Tattvamasi. He says, you are that. Just by hearing that, he gets realization, moksha, liberation, freedom, whatever you call. How many times we have heard that? How many times we ourselves have told that to someone else also? What is the final teaching of Vedanta? Tattvamasi, Mahavakya. Just a statement. Just by listening to that, he gets. What is the truth? What is that reality? Asks the Kena Upanishadic student that the master says, Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Mano Yat Vachoha Vacham. Student gets realization. Eye of the eye, ear of the ear, mind of the mind. And he says, he gets realization just by listening. How? This is another group of students. One set of students have to move in this direction. What is it? Listen, reflect, contemplate. There is another set of students who have done their reflection and contemplation on their own. Just that final push is needed. That's it. Just that, or almost sort of reconfirming. Just that confirmation. So the Upanishadic student goes to the master for reconfirmation. See? So there you will not find elaborate things. That's why Upanishads are very cryptic in nature. Very direct nature. Listening is enough for them. So there are two ways. So the portion that we are going to study now, assumption is you have finished all your listening. Now you have to start doing your contemplation and your reflection. When you start, from where you will start, with what you have to start, what is the material, what are the various conclusions that you can come to, and what is Vedanta got to say in that matter, and all that is what this portion is. So here, the very fact that you see the world, the very perception itself is an effect. And it presupposes a cause. So we start asking this question. And the cause, to locate that cause, you have to go beyond perception. You can't stand within perception and find a cause. The very fact that there's a child presupposes parent. To know the parent, you cannot dissect the child. By dissecting the child, you can never know the parent. You have to go beyond that. This is how Vedanta proceeds. Vedanta begins from that. That's why Vedantic theory of perception is totally different. And only this theory gives a completion to the whole thing. Otherwise, we don't understand what we do, what we say. We say common sense thinking. Common sense is what? Seeing the world, no. World is appearing, right? It's real. Why? Because it appears. The naivety of us is we never realize when we make that same statement, world appears, therefore it must be because it's real. The question we ask is, sir, whether the reality of the world is the cause of its appearance, or the appearance of the world is the cause of its reality. Which is correct? These are the questions that has been bothering great thinkers. And all those thinkers arrived at different answers, different conclusions, because the data they took is different and the logic they applied, different. And the whole purpose of the analysis is different. The difference is because of differences in all three. The data they took is different. The process is different. The purpose itself is very different. So here Vedanta is not interested in knowing how the world is, what the world is, all these things. Vedanta immediately asks the question, now why do you want to know that? What is your agenda? What is the purpose of this inquiry? The purpose of the inquiry is to find the ultimate reality. If that is the purpose, then start your reasoning. Then when you start your reasoning, how do you start your reasoning? You take data. Which data you are going to take and how you are going to classify them, how you are going to organize those ideas, and then what are the principles and rules that you are going to keep within that framework you have to think. If you are not going to fix a framework, then your thinking can never go appropriate. This is what we saw in the last class. So there is a principle. There is a principle in terms of studying the whole thing. What is it? What are the principles? There are 4 principles we have. I'm not going to give you the derivation of each one of it. Okay. Now, derivations and all that, if you go, it will become too elaborate. That much of elaboration is not needed, and it will unnecessarily it will cause confusion. All that you have to get is the ideas first. There are 4 ideas we saw in the last class. I'm just recapping what we did because it's a long time. The first one we saw is the see whether I can share. See the slide, it becomes easier. The perceiver is different from the perceived. Principle number 1. Second principle. Perceiver is one, the perceived are many. Principle first one is the perceiver is different from the perceived. Because only when there is a distance, a perception is possible. The eye cannot see itself. That is not possible. The eye can see an object only when that object is away from the eye. Distance from the eye has to be different from the eye. Principle number 1. Principle number 2. Perceiver is one, perceived are many. One eye. Don't say we have 2 eyes. Okay. We are talking about vision. And I will say, what about tongue? There's only one tongue. No. Just giving the example as eyes. You can extend it to ears. You can extend it to nose. You can extend it to other senses also. One eye sees many colors and many forms. So the perceived are multifarious, the perceiver is one. Third principle, perceiver is changeless, the perceived goes on changing, relatively speaking. The perceiver has to be fixed, the perceived goes on varying. The same eye with which I see you is the same eye with which I see the camera as well. The same eye with which I see all this. So, which means the perceiver is changeless. Only then he can be one. So, from perceiver is one, perceived are many, we derive the third point. The fourth point we derive out of that is, what is my position here? My position is, I am the perceiver and I am not the perceived. So now in terms of perception, there are three things. Perceiver, perceived, me. There are three here. Now in that I say, now what I am going to be? To you all, I am perceived. Isn't it? The discussion is not from your point of view, the discussion is from my point of view. So from my angle, when I see what I am I the perceiver or am I the perceived? You say, I cannot be the perceived. Why I cannot be the perceived? Go back to the previous point. Third point is what? Changeless, changing, one, many. Do you believe yourself to be one or you believe yourself to be many? The eyes are many or one? One only. Therefore, I am the perceiver, I am not the perceived. This is the base. Right. Now, we move to specific ideas. When we read it, I will elaborate it. Then what is this perception? Perception is seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Which means we are discussing only with reference to the world that is contacted or registered by the senses. We are not discussing about the world which is of emotions, because emotions are inside or outside. Likes and dislikes, inside or outside? Ideas, inside or outside? The thoughts and ideas are inside me. When I speak, that reaches to you only through the medium of what? Words, sound, ears. So, we are not discussing with reference to those things because they are not outside, they are inside. So, here the discussion is with reference to the world perceived by the senses. Why we are discussing about perception? Because we attribute reality to the world because of the perception. Right? Why we are attributing that reality? On what basis we are attributing the reality? Because of perception only. So we ask this fundamental question. Is appearance reality? Therefore, we studied the relationship between the two. What is the relationship between appearance and reality? And we saw there are 4 possibilities. And we ruled out the 3 and we held to the 4th idea. And further analysis will come. You don't worry. We will see that. Right. The 4 realities. Now we ask this question, sir, the world of matter is inert. How is the mind, which is cognizing, perceiving, seeing the inert matter which is outside? It is not entering inside me. So, the starting point of perception, is it from the mind reaching out to the world, or the world reaching into the mind? What is the starting point? This is where 2 groups of people came. One group of people said, world is the starting point. They were called as realists. Another group of people said, no, it is the mind which goes and sits there. It's because of the mind. Therefore, these people were called as idealists. Of course, there are divisions are there in that. Okay, final divisions are there. We are not going into those things. We will see that. When we go there, we will see it anyway. It's not that we are not going to leave it. We will see in detail when we go there. Then Vedanta comes and says, hold on. If mind, which is of insubstantial thoughts, matter, which is of gross, inert, insentient substance sitting outside, and senses are what? In between is the senses. So what you have to understand is, world is there, and senses are there, mind is there. So Vedanta says, okay, how the whole perception happens? When we say perception, it is not the world that enters inside you. World is not entering inside you. Imagine you see fire, and fire were to enter inside you, what will happen? That's not what's happening. You see, then it is not the tree that is standing out there at yonder has entered into my eyes. No. Something from the tree has come and knocked the doors of my eyes, and the eyes allowed it to enter inside, and that fellow has entered inside, whoever that is. Or the mind who is sitting behind the eye rushes outside and goes perches on the tree. Whether the mind which is inside goes and envelops the tree outside, or the tree sends something from there and happens. This is the confusion. You see, because the steps are very clear to us. You see, the steps are very clear. The sense objects are there. The world is there, world of sense objects. What are they? There are 5. Color and form, sound, ears, skin, and you see this one. You will get a better idea. Otherwise, it's not clear. Yeah. Color and forms enters through the eye to reach to the mind. Because when I am listening to a music, my eyes are open. It's not that my eyes are closed. My eyes are wide open, but the sight that comes and hits the retina and the rods and cones and goes inside the brain, everything is happening. All that is happening automatically, but I am not registering the sight. I am not seeing it. Why I am not seeing it? Sometimes I keep seeing, many times we see that a child is watching a movie, doesn't hear the doorbell ringing. The sound wave from the doorbell comes and hits the eardrum, automatically eardrum will vibrate. When the eardrum vibrates, the nerves carry the message. We can go up to brain. Automatic. Even to brain also it is automatic only. Beyond that we don't know why he is not hearing. Why that is the case? Vedanta comes and says that sense center is not connected. Where is a sense center? That is located in the mind, which is what is referred as indriya. Remember, indriya, when we say, we are not referring to the organ, the flesh, the ears, the nose. That's not what we are referring to. Indriyas refer to the particular center that registers and connects to that particular organ. For eyes, it is referred as golaya. See, the retina, the eye, all that is there. That is golaya. That is not seeing. Then what is seeing? How the seeing happens? Color and forms comes to the eyes, and the eyes take it to the mind, and the mind is the one who registers it. Now this gives us very many points. The system gives us a good understanding. What is understanding we get here? First thing we understand is, world is going to send the entire information. The whole landscape is going to come onto my eyes. It is not that the world is going to make a choice and then send. It's not like that. It sends out. Then my eye has a capacity to register a particular frequency of color, forms. It takes. Then my mind focuses only on that particular one. I am looking at all of you now, but I am not paying any attention to the frame of the laptop. Now that I use the word frame, all of you would have seen the frame. before that. And every one of you are having a different background for you. Right? I'm not paying attention to those things. If you ask me after the class, what is the backdrop of DPP Rao? What was there behind it? I say, how do I know? Something was there, they say. And what is there behind, Tara, if you ask me? I'll say, behind Tara, what will be there? Nothing. I'll say Anand. Who's behind Tara? I'll say Anand is there behind. Because that's a Tara, Anand is a name. How will you know? You don't register all that, no? Filtration happens. First level of filtration happens at the level of the senses. Then the second level of filtration happens at the level of the mind. Right? In this comes tremendous confusion for all of us. What is the real nature of the world then? Because two levels of filtration happens. Your mind is not going to be focusing on the entire data. Remember, this data is not coming only from your eyes. All the five senses are freely moving around in their respective pasture lands, and collects the data, collects that information, and passively reports the whole thing. There itself we find the collection of data by the senses itself is not total. Now we get confused. Now what is the world that I am seeing then? This is where the whole process of thinking started for these people. Right? Here comes many things. And here is the whole analysis, how each one is adapting. Now, I'm not going into the details of each one. Okay, if I go to the details, it will become a yo. It's not necessary also. And when we go to this Vedantic theory of perception, we will get that complete grip of the whole thing. I'm just giving you all these things we are supposed to be knowing earlier. Right? It's not that now you have to learn all these things. All these things we should know before. When we were introduced, Jnana Indriyas, we should have known these things. What is Jnana Indriyas, sir? In English, if you want to call it the Jnana Indriya, organs of perception. And the organs of perception, what do they perceive? They perceive the world. And here we should have asked this question, sir, how does the perception happen? Then we belong to Upanishadic school. What is it? Starting from manana, nidhidhyasana, sravana. Now we don't belong to that school. First of all, we don't belong to both. Hey, sravana, manana, nidhidhyasana also we don't belong to. I don't know, we have to create a new school for us. We need to create a school of discipline first, and then sravana, manana, nidhidhyasana. Caning. First one you have to cane first and then start. So theory of perception is the eye sees, but what makes the eye see only that particular is the mind. Because we cannot say the object is making the eye see only that. Because the object is not going to be forcing itself to enter inside you. Isn't it? Why are you concentrating only on that point? Apart from your eyes are not capable of seeing ultraviolet rays. I'm not referring to all those things. Right? In the things that are perceivable by you, seeable by you, what is making your eye see only that particular portion, not the whole thing? next time when this, I don't know whether the theatres are open now, right? If the theatres are open, go for a movie. Remember, childhood, 70 mm, if they show, means it is a 70 mm movie, means it was a very big thing those days. Today everything is different, 4K, something and all they are saying now. 70 mm, Sholay, 70 mm was like, oh, wow, crazy that was to see on the screen. And it is so interesting when you are watching a movie, right? Try to see the entire screen. Next time, not now. Okay, now you will see only because only I should be seeing there. I suppose. Right? I don't know how many windows are open parallelly for you all. Now, assumption is only this. Now there is no big problem, right? You go for a movie, it is so interesting. You go for a movie, the moment Chiranjeevi comes on screen, whoever is dancing along with him, your eyes will not go to those people. Your eyes will glue to only this guy. However beautiful the heroine may be, doesn't make any difference. It goes only there. It fixes only on that one. Question is, who is making it? Obviously, it cannot be the world. The world is not forcing itself. Imagine if the world were to force itself to draw your attention. How that would be? Imagine a smell gets the capacity to draw your nose to it. How will that be? Your life will not be the way we are living now. Therefore, we say, world is not drawing your attention. Then who is going in that direction? You. What is that? The mind is moving in that direction. And mind is focusing on that particular thing. Therefore, it is the mind that is reaching out. Who's seeing? He says. This is another one. So, very many arguments, very many thought processes. Here we ask this question, sir, perception. What we are discussing, why we are discussing, we have established so far. Okay. Now we will go to the text proper. Okay. Yes, Tanya.
Page 293, chapter 13, chapter 18, Theory of Perception. Phenomenon of the world. What is the world like? What is its exact nature? Is the world what it appears to be to the senses? If the perception of the senses were to determine that, then whose senses are to do it? The senses of different beings interpret the world differently. Ants perceive the world in a particular way, while elephants do so in another way. And humans perceive it different from ants and elephants. Then whose senses are to be relied upon? Who's accepted as the standard? That of human, animal, or plant? Living beings view the world as children view their images in convex and concave mirrors. These mirrors produce ludicrous images. They appear long as pine trees or flat as pancakes. Thus, there are multifarious versions of the world. The question arises as to the exact nature of the world. What is right and what is wrong? It has provoked philosophers to investigate and reach distinct conclusions. They have laid down conflicting theories. Vedanta reconciles these divergent views and presents the Vedantic theory of perception. It needs to be carefully studied and reflected upon.
These questions provoke the philosophers, great thinkers, and each one investigated and arrived at different conclusions. Those conclusions were called as theories. Now, theories means what? You've seen that earlier. Theories is just intelligent conclusions and interpretations of observed facts. Whatever that you have observed, you come to certain conclusions. Those conclusions were called as theories. That's all. And you have to know the difference. Speculations is very different. We are not discussing about speculations here. We are discussing here theories. Theories means we go through with the parameters. It needs to be studied carefully and reflected upon. So study this carefully. And more than explanations, it will help you if you reflect on that. Okay. Listening more and more, of course, you can listen to it again. In fact, I would definitely recommend to read again and again and listen again and again. You can't just listen once and make sense of it. Because we don't realize, because particularly this particular chapter, next chapter also you would have heard somewhere about illusions, rope and snake example. Before I start rope and snake example, most of you will know better than me, rope and snake analysis. Right? Illusions. All that, reality, about God, about Brahman, about consciousness, what is the nature of consciousness, what is Satchitananda, what is what is Advaita, what is Dvaita, what is Vishishtadvaita, all that you would have heard. Particularly when it comes to this chapter, a problem is, even in the philosophical lobbies, the spiritual lobbies also today, hardly we find anybody explaining these things. If at all even if you search, you will not find a Swami explaining theory of perception. Theory of perception you put on, you will find no one in that orthodox system explaining it. Why? Because most of them did not understand the relevance of the topic. Why we have to get this one? Because this topic is designed for people who wonder. If senses were to be defining it, whose sense is correct? Who is vouching for whom? Senses or body. The body is made up of the 5 elements, isn't it? Your body is made up of what? 5 elements only. That is why you can pluck an apple and eat. Your body is able to grow with it. You are able to take that vitamin tablets, mineral tablets and all those things. Your body is agreeing to it. It is able to digest it. It is able to interact with it. Why? Because they are of the same level. World is made up of 5 elements. Your body is made up of 5 elements. This 5 elements vouches for the reality of that 5 elements now. Is there any meaning in that? This is the wonderment of these people. They wonder, now appears to the senses, and we vouch for this is the exact nature of the world. This is what it is. On what basis? On the basis of we seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Seen by what? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. Which is made up of what? 5 elements. The world is made up of what? 5 elements. So elements are vouching for the reality of the elements. That's what he is asking. What is right and what is wrong? Immediately today our people will say, there's no such thing as right and wrong, sir. Because it's coming in public, I am not referring. I gave one example, right and wrong. After that, the person never came to my class. They stopped attending. This guy is dangerous, very bad. Because I gave some simple example, they started arguing with me. And I gave a different example. Because today we are forced to speak such languages. We have to give such gross and extreme examples. Even taking drugs also is not considered as bad now. Just because a person is a drug addict doesn't mean it's bad. Then what is bad now? Just because smoking is not bad. How many people are suffering because of you smoking? I'm not talking about your family and all those things. Passive smoking. You inhale. Hold it to yourself. Why are you throwing out? Huh? You want to smoke, you smoke. Why are you throwing it out? Because when you throw it out, it is coming to me, no? You can't say, as long as it's not hurting somebody, it doesn't matter. It is hurting, no? Passive smokers are getting cancers. You know that? And they say, they have never smoked, sir, but passive cancer can trigger cancer. What mistake that person has done? Right and wrong. Now, that's not the right and wrong we are discussing here. We are discussing on what basis. The basis for this. And here is an analysis. And he is explaining that in a gist. In one paragraph, he covers the whole thing. The entire. That's the beauty of the text. It's the beauty of a master. Capturing the whole chapter in one paragraph. See, that's what they say. Musicians' expertise is a person should be able to sing that raga for hours. Also, in 2 minutes, you have to cover the entire raga. So they say 30 seconds you should finish. You should show the beauty of the raga in 30 seconds. That's it. That shows the mastery of the musician. Same way here. It says, yeah. Continue.
One set of thinkers laid down the theory of idealism. According to the idealists, the world is not what it appears to your sense perception. The world as it appears to you is false, illusory, unreal. Idealism again has different branches, spearheaded by eminent philosophers like Berkeley, Plato, Hegel, and others. Another set of thinkers laid down the theory of realism. According to the realists, the world is real. The world is as it appears to you. Things and beings are just as they seem to you, real in themselves. Bain and Mill are among the philosophers who support realism.
These are the two. Yes. These are the two sets he gives. One set of thinkers said, it's not what it appears, man. It is because of the mind the whole thing is. So the entire responsibility for the appearance of the world is resting on the mind. Says idealist. And the realist says, No. It is in the object. It is in the world. The responsibility of perception is in the thing. You can perceive only if it is there. No, if it is not there, how can you perceive? Out. Of course, they are going to give. We will see that. When we go there, we will see the arguments of each one. And he gives, few names here. Very rarely you will find in the book, in the entire book, rarely you will find him referring few people. Quotations may be there, but he would not refer anyone. But here he gives a reference to these people. Shows how great they were. Now, of course, we can't go into, where is this Berkeley started and how he left and then how it, shifted to this, that, and we are not going to discuss. From where he got, why he developed that idea, from where this one came, and then what is this division. It's not necessary for us. You see, but just to know, there is a school of thinkers of realists. You see, realism has its own support, idealism has its own support. Now he comes to a critical point. Next paragraph.
Most people find it difficult to tune into these abstruse speculative theories. They dismiss them as mere theoretical enunciations of little value. They do not realize that theory plays an essential part in practical life, that all activity in the world is backed by thought. Vedanta provides you with the knowledge to explain the phenomenon of the world with its theory of perception, a theory founded on the laws of science.
See, this is the next point. Yes. First, he gives certain questions to provoke. What triggered the thinking of those people? And he gave some examples for those thinkers and their conclusions. Now he is coming to all of us. Because most of them who are reading all these things will say, "Sir, why should I break my head in understanding all these theories? Why should I know what is where Berkeley is right and where he is wrong? How Immanuel Kant had come into picture to bring in where how his ideas were moving. Why should I worry about all that? No, it's not necessary, sir. Why should I worry? Now I am worried about Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. All that you have to do is what? Bhakti, enough, no. That's all. Keep singing the praise of the God. Listen to his stories. Enjoy. Visit some temples. And of course, attend your class also, okay? Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Because Jnana Yoga, where else you will go? You have to attend your class. We attend your class also. But why bother about all these things, man? What you don't understand is the whole thing that you are calling as practical is possible only because of a theory backing it. Without a theory backing, no practical is possible. Technology is not possible without pure science. But the value we have for the technology is not the value we give for pure science. Because for all of us, what is relevant is use it, that's it. Directly, what can be used? Give me only that. And this is where the problem comes. If I have to transfer the practical expertise that I have got, say for example, You see the YouTube channels, any house you go, doesn't matter. YouTube channel or this one, both are same. You will find everyone is started giving recipes now. Have you seen? Everybody is giving recipes. One lady has, followers more than what we have. All that she is doing is every day whatever she is cooking, she is just shooting that and putting it up. And people are there to follow that. It's amazing to see. Do that. Now, I am an excellent salesman. I have that capacity to sell. I am the best salesperson you can ever have. I am an excellent investor. I have invested money and I have made huge. I'm just giving examples, sir. Okay. Don't call me after that. He only said no, sir, in the class. Only condition is investment will happen in my name only. Then allowed. Then I'll give advice. When I have that knowledge, when I have that expertise, if I have to transfer that expertise from me to you, when that would be possible? That's why they say there are two types of people, no? One are kings and there are kingmakers. What is the difference? You are an excellent cook. My mother is an excellent cook. There's no doubt about it, at least to me. Okay. But if you ask her, how did you prepare this? If you ask her, she'll say, how did you prepare means what? Come and see. How do I prepare? And she has a concept. Remember that. Even she has a theory. Her theory is, your eye should see and hand should add. That's all. Principle is very simple. Again, what is it? If you ask her how to prepare, she will give. She needs a concept. She needs a theory. She needs to know the principles behind it. If I have to train you to be a leader, I have to know the leadership principles. The knowledge transference, if it is not happening from one generation to another generation, evolution is impossible. Because every generation has to reinvent the wheel. Isn't it? How that knowledge transference can happen? Even your skill I am talking about. Whatever you call as skill, if you have to transfer that skill, you have to bring in theories. And a person who has the grounding on the theories alone will be having the capacity to transfer that knowledge. Otherwise, transference is not possible. And all of us go to these masters and ask them to give us transfer that wisdom to us. But we say what? Sir, don't give me the principles. Give me only practical advice. Practically what is to be done. Practically how to get rid of stress. Tell that. As though somebody is going to give you impractically to get rid of stress. That's what I am so tempted to give. Stress seminar. I was so tempted to give that topic, in a place where I have been. Impractical ways to get rid of stress. Maybe I would have got more people also, I don't know. Maybe you should try that. Because these days, weirder you have to say things, More the absurd you are, greater the following for that. Absurd ideas you have to give. One of the series, in our videos, unstrung pearls. What's the use of it? I say, sir, topic. Pagal fellows. Pearls are supposed to be strung together. Only then there is value. The string is the essential one, says in the Gita. And I am that Sutre Manigana Iva, he says in the Gita. We have discarded that. Unstrung pearls. Which means what? There's no thread. Which means what? Random thought. Which means what? Blabbering. Little meaning of that, if you interpret, blabbering. And that you go and see, YouTube channel. Look into the playlist. Unstrung pearls, viewership is more than Vedanta treatise expounded. It's not there. Why? Practical, sir. Practically you have to tell. Now, it is impossible. Remember that. Unless there is solidarity with reference to the theoretical concepts, there is no way that you will be able to implement it, practice it with authenticity and authoritativeness, originality. Number one. Number two, if you have to transfer that skill of yours, that expertise of yours, without sound theoretical understanding, transference is not possible. And if humanity had been enjoying the benefit of our predecessors' research works, is because of the theoretical understanding of this, conceptual understanding of this. Foregoing that, ignoring that, now humanity is, 21st century humanity is too involved with practical. Everything practical. That's why today we have to teach people practically how to breathe. Breathing is not natural one, no? Walking is natural one, right? There are videos teaching you how to walk. I say walking is a natural action, right? Supposed to be. Every child automatically turns around. Tomorrow we will ask how to practically make the child turn around. How to make practical, how to. Now every how to, what we fail is backed by a solid concept. Unless we have the clarity on the concept, there is no way that we are going to find a workable solution. Remember, when you are attempting to resolve a problem, every workable solution that you can arrive at, only if you have captured what is the fundamental theory, fundamental concept backing that problem. If the fundamentals were not captured, there is no way that you will be able to evolve a workable practical solution. A workable solution is what we call as a practical solution. That's why most of our solutions are not workable. How to reduce stress? Keep breathing. Our problem is you forget breathing. Then what to do? You are supposed to count 1 to 10. Whenever you get angry, you are supposed to count 1 to 10. But the problem is what? Once you get angry, you forget to count 1 to 10. Now someone has to remind you, no, count 1 to 10. And then what you do? Shout at that person who reminded you. Why? Is it a workable solution? But then, prima facie, it looks like what? Yeah, correct, no? Good idea, sir. Like one fellow gave, sir, the problem, in this main cities, the main roads and the cities, what happens? All these guys come and they park their car and go away. Gandhi Bazaar main road, if you go, Market Road, all these fellows come and park their car and go. And if you go for shopping, there is no place for parking there. Now what to do? We should charge them, We should charge them. So, what is the actual problem? So, what is idea there? The fundamental idea that we are trying to resolve there is we wanted to provide that same parking area to be used by more number of people instead of only one person using it, correct? Now, give answers. What are all the ways in which you can discourage a person to park their car for a long period of time? Whole day occupied. Those who come there and go, what happens to those people? What is the solution? Now, your ability to give solutions, workable things becomes much more workable, practical. Once you understand the concept behind it. I'm feeling thirsty. What are you supposed to do? What is the body asking? And what are you providing? If you understand the concept behind it, then you will not go for Pepsi, Coke. You will go for water. What is the concept behind it? What is the theory behind it? What is the idea behind it? When you are discussing those ideas, straight away it will not look like it is going to help you in any way. But remember, unless you have this understanding, there is no possibility of you creating any practical solutions. Therefore, this theoretical study is such an important one. 3 reasons are given you. But you need this theoretical grounding. If you are not grounded on the theorems, it's impossible for you to practice anything. It will never be practical. Whatever you practice will not be a practical one. So therefore, pay attention to the theory, he says. Right? We'll see in the next class.